What's going on, everybody? I pray everybody is doing well and having a wonderful, blessed day as we give the Most High all the honor, glory, and all the praise and worship. My title says, he had a whole lot. He just looked like that. He had a whole lot. He just looked like that. This is the video response back to Sister Tara 48. You want to know my little opinion on how some women are very high maintenance. You ain't only got a lot of women like that, you got a lot of men like that. But in the case of this video, we're going to talk about a woman whose standards are set so high. I always say to a woman, how much do you value yourself? But then you got a lot of women who are very independent, make a lot of money. You know, they'll tell you in a heartbeat, I don't need nothing from a man. And then you got some women that's searching for that soulmate, you know. Then you got some that just don't care. Let's just keep it real. But there are a lot of women with very, very high standards. He got to be 6'4" at least. You know, he got to have X and X amount of dollars. You know, credit got to be good. You know, I can't be with him if he's in the car that ain't higher than the car I got. You know, stuff like that, etc., etc. But just to make a long story short, I'll leave you with this. I'm not gonna make this video too long. That was a good friend of mine. He always wore overalls, plaid shirt. You know, he wasn't. I used to work with him. He wasn't big on material things at all. But he wore the same overalls, changed out his plaid shirt, had his little boots on. Real cool dude. Real cool. Very low key. He drove an old 79 Ford one pickup everywhere he went. And a lot of people laughed at him. Sad thing is, a lot of them that laughed at him, they would always call them to come tow their car home when their car went dead. The car wouldn't start. But he was so cool, you know. He's gone now, rest his soul. But he would always say, I'm not hurting for nothing. And this one lady that he really was crazy about, she used to work with us. She was very high maintenance, you know. She drove a Porsche. You know, she had about a 4-5 bedroom house, probably $500,000 or maybe $750,000. You know, she was doing pretty well for herself. And he would always, you know, mess with her, flirt with her a little bit, because he was a single man with no kids. And she would always tell him, man, we work together, so I know you ain't doing better than me. I make more than you. I work on the floor, you know, 2 floors higher than you. You know, I don't need a man for nothing. And this, he was really crazy about her. He thought she really would change one day. But she would always look at him and look at how he was dressed and would say things like, why don't you dress better? Why don't you fix yourself up more? Why don't you go get you a fancy suit? And he would always say, I'm cool like I am. You know, he was actually the janitor. And she would always, like the old folks would say, don't judge a book by its cover. But she would always judge that book by its cover. And he invited her to his house. Of course, she turned it down. He wanted to, you know, what she didn't know also, he was a hell of a cook. He learned how to cook growing up from his grandmother, and he went to culinary school too. He was a hell of a cook. She didn't know that though. He wanted to impress her, but she just wouldn't even go out on a date with him. And then one day, she finally decided to say, you know what, you always flirting with me and like you like me and this, I'm gonna take you up on your offer. This was about a month later after she told him how he needed to dress and all that. And he gave her the address to his house, of course. When she pulled up at his house, she couldn't even believe it. She didn't know that he had all that land. She didn't know that he didn't even have to work. He was just working because he loved to work. She pulled up in his driveway. That man was sitting on about 20 acres of land. A lot of land. You know, 1 acre is pretty big to me. 2 acres, 3 acres, man, you start getting up in 10, 20, 15 and up, that's a lot of land to me. And what she didn't understand, that his land, his house was paid for. He had a 6-bedroom house, 4 bath, 6-car garage with all that land, just him. So her mouth dropped, and then she realized he had way more than what he looked like. The Porsche that she had, once he popped the garage to show her what he had, it made her Porsche look like a little Oldsmobile. And he just had that, and all his cars was paid for. He didn't have no car note. Never judge a book by its cover. I'm saying all this to say that a lot of people, maintenance is very high maintenance. And they always, you know, judging by the outer appearance. That man had a heart out of this world. And when he brought her into the house, she could smell the aroma. Big old kitchen. Big kitchen. She said, "Whose house is this?" He said, "It's mine." He said, "See, at work, you think I don't have nothing because I don't dress fancy. I'm just, you look at me as the janitor." He said, "Sister, I don't have to work. I just work to keep myself busy and going. I'm not hurting for nothing." He had way more than he looked like. And he said, "I'm glad you took me up on my offer." He said, "But now, I just wanted to show you something, and I hope you learn your lesson." He said, "I'm not even really interested in you no more." He said, "Because I see what you are interested in. Material things." He said, "But I just thought one day you would change and look at the heart of somebody." And he was so respectful. Cooked her that dinner. He wasn't even trying to get none from her. And told her to have a good night. Messed her up. But from that day on, she had a change of heart. See, there are a lot of people that you look at, they might not have on fancy suits, drive them big fancy cars, but they got something. But they don't let the money make them. They're not caught on material things, like a lot of people are. And when you judge a book by its cover, you can't really see the heart. My boy, he passed on, but he taught her a valuable lesson about judging a man. And I hope what I'm saying in this video will catch somebody's attention. What's wrong with the brother that ain't making 6 figures, but he take care of his family? He love his children. He spend all the time in the world with his kids. Though he may not be making more than you. Oh, but what kind of difference do he make up with the time? He may not dress like the next man, but he's living comfortably. And another thing that with that brother I was just talking about, he didn't have no debt. He had everything paid for. No debt, no children, owned everything. He had tractors on top of tractors, and he was growing his own garden. He just had land for miles. Growed his own food. Country living, really. But she didn't know that because all she saw was that old 79 Ford pickup. The overalls, she couldn't look past the overalls and the plaid shirt and the little boots on. That man had way more than she ever thought about having. But the biggest thing that he had on top of all of that was his heart. I end with this. For what does it profit a man to gain this world and lose his soul? People tell me all the time, JT, when you gonna get a new vehicle? I've been riding old vehicles all my life. If I get something new one day, to the Most High be the glory. But I'm just as happy full of joy and content in this old pickup. I'm just happy and content in that old SUV over there. Because that stuff don't make me. I was walking before I had a vehicle. And if I don't get no further than where I'm at now, I'm happy with that. Because I got my health and strength. I got a beautiful wife. I got beautiful children. I got a beautiful life. And most of all, I have the Most High first. It ain't about all this material things. If you look at the shape that the world is in right now, yeah, most people are going crazy because they still ain't at work. This pandemic got them going crazy. They don't know what to do next. They can't sleep at night. I sleep well because I'm not worried about this system because I'm living in the Most High system. That's my word for the day. Don't judge that book by its cover. The very well man that you may be turning down might have been the one. Fellas, that very well woman that wasn't high maintenance like the one you was looking for. But she had that heart. She was a virtuous woman. You might have missed it because you were too busy saying she got to make 6 figures. She better have 401k. She better have 800 credit score. At least 750 credit score. Y'all know how it go. But don't judge a book by its cover. If you can see the heart of an individual, and that individual is a good steward, and they take care of business, what's wrong with being with somebody like that? And they most of all have Yah first in their heart, God first. What's wrong with that? Message. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Shalom.